Hello, good morning, everybody. Good morning from Nigeria. Good evening here in Australia. How are you doing? So excited to be here this morning on this month's edition of SuccessConverge. Quickly, if you're joining me and you can hear me and you can see me, can you drop a comment for me in the chat box so that I know that everything is perfect? Good morning, sir. I can see you, Emmanuel. Good to see you this morning. Can you hear me properly? If you can you just let me know? If you can you just let me know? Hi, Emmanuel, can you hear me? I believe you can. So let me see. Great. Thank you very much. Loud and clear. Loud and clear. So happy to hear that you can hear me loud and clear. So we'll just kick off in no distant time. Give me a minute to share my screen. If you're joining me, feel free to say hello in the chat box so that I can recognize you. Feel free to say hello on the chat box so I can recognize you. Emmanuel, how is today going? How are you doing today? How are you doing today? All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining me on today's edition of SuccessConverge. I hope you are doing well. Just finishing up to get ready. All right, so I think I'm good to go. Yep, very well. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm good to go. So let's kick off. Good morning, everybody. This is SuccessConverge. My name is Apeh Omede, and I'm going to be your host this very beautiful morning. I'm excited to be here with us. For those who don't know about SuccessConverge and where it's coming from, I'd like to do just a brief introduction to it, and then we'll take it from there. So SuccessConverge is a platform where we inspire and encourage everybody who comes on the platform for a life of excellence. We believe that everyone created by God has the capacity and the potential to be an excellent person, but that is not what is always obtainable in most cases. A lot of people are afraid to be their best self as created by God. But God has given us a privilege and a vision to build a platform where that can become a thing of the past. So we are where we exist to make excellence common through the instrumentality of the Word of God, through the platform of Life Excel, which is the host of SuccessConverge. So Life Excel is a not-for-profit, faith-based, youth-led organization that is into personal development and community development, inspiring young people and everyone who cares to live a life of excellence. And we're really, really grateful to God for that opportunity. And so one of the things we do is this program called SuccessConverge, which we try to hold every month to inspire you to be a person of excellence in one way or the other. And today is one of those days that we always look forward to. And we believe it's going to be a great time together. So I want to welcome you. And thanks again for joining me. If you want to know more about Life Excel and SuccessConverge, you can look us up on all social media platforms. We have presence on Facebook. We have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. We are present on Instagram, on Twitter as well. So you can find us on all these platforms and you can engage with us on those platforms. And we look forward to having you be part of what God is doing through us and with us as we journey towards a life of excellence. So for today, my conversation is on the courage to excel. On the courage to excel. That is what we're going to be looking at today. And I pray that it will make sense to you. It will be useful to you, and that you'll get something out of it. So if you don't mind, I'll just say a short prayer because we're people of faith, and then we'll keep on, move on from there. So God, we thank you this morning and give you all the praise, the glory for an opportunity to, come together to share out of the wisdom and the understanding that you've given to us. And Lord, I ask that everyone who joins this conversation today will live with something that they will hold on to that will make their life better, and all to the glory of your holy name. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so courage to excel, the courage to excel. And I'm very, very excited about this conversation because I know it's going to be very, very important and useful to you at the end of today. So I'll start with some of the things I mentioned last month during SuccessConverge for last month that have a relationship or have an addition to today's conversation. And that is that when people fail, right? When people fail, it is not necessarily because they lack the gifts and the talents to succeed and excel. It is because they are afraid to try. It is because they are afraid to try. There are a lot of people who are out there with gifts, talents, potentials. They still fail. And the reason why they fail is because they are afraid to try. So I want you to think about your life. Think about where you are at the moment and ask yourself, for the times that I failed, is it because I don't have the gifts and the talents to succeed and excel in what I'm doing? Or is it because I did not even show up at all? Because it is a different thing not to have gifts and talents, or to think that you don't have gifts and talent, because there is nobody on earth who does not have a gift and talent and potential to excel or to succeed. But some people think they don't have. So it is a different thing to think that you don't have what it takes to succeed, to excel, and a different thing entirely to have what it takes to excel, what it takes to succeed, and yet you don't show up because you are afraid. And when people are afraid, what they do is that they resort to mediocrity. So that means that anything goes, anything and everything goes. When there is actually an opportunity or a capacity to do better in life, but because we are afraid to try, we resort to what is existing. So you see people say, I think that what I can graduate with is a 2-2. That is all that I can do, when it comes to my academics. Why? Because they are afraid to put more effort into studying, or they believe that they don't have what it takes upstairs to graduate with a better result. People can settle for any kind of woman because they think that they are not handsome enough to get the kind of woman they want. Women can also resort to any kind of man because they think that they are not beautiful enough to marry the kind of man that they want. People can decide to live in a one-bedroom apartment because they feel don't have the capacity to live in a duplex. So we can have different scenarios that show us that people actually resort to mediocrity, resort to the kind of life they are living, not necessarily because they lack the capacity or the ability, the talent to have a better life, but because they are afraid, primarily afraid to try. And when they are afraid to try, they resort themselves to a life of mediocrity. Now, fear that we're aware of are the fear that has to do with things like the fear of height, the fear of certain food, and those kind of common fears that we know. Fear of sound, all right, fear of falling down, and these are fears that we know about. Like we have a knowledge of them. For example, I have the fear of heights. So if you want me to be scared out of this life, just expose me to heights. Even though I fly, okay, but it took me a lot of courage to overcome my fear of flying. But even at that, when I'm on a very high-rise building, and I am always afraid of looking out from the window because I'm afraid of height. Another fear that I have is the fear of new foods. So I used to tell people that I have food phobia. Why? I don't know. But I know that that is one thing that I've grown up with, and I'm very conscious of it. That when I go to a new area, when I go to a new place, new country, new town, new city that I've never experienced their culture in terms of the kind of food that they eat or that they are used to, I always starve myself because I'm afraid of testing new foods. So it will take me a lot of time, maybe 3 months or 6 months or 1 year to begin to try some foods gradually. And up until today, there are some foods that I don't eat. Not because they are not delicious, not because they are not nutritious, not because people are not eating them, but because of this fear of food. But now these fears, this kind of fears, the fear of height, the fear of eating new food are all conscious fear that we know and we can easily outgrow them. But when it comes to the courage to excel and the kind of fear that stops us from excelling, they are this unconscious fear that you have, but at the same time, you don't even know that you have it. Because it is in your subconscious, it is somewhere at the back of your mind that you cannot always exhibit. And when you exhibit it, you don't even know that you're exhibiting it. So when I'm talking about unconscious fear, I want you to think about the times that you acted in ways that sabotaged your goals and your dreams. And you didn't know it. So most of the times you tell yourself that this is the dream and the goal that you want to achieve. Say, for example, you are setting a goal for yourself to have a million naira in your account by a certain time of the year. But then inside of you, in your mind, in your subconscious, you are worried about where to get the money you continue to save, that you keep on saving to be able to raise a million naira by a certain time in the year. What you've just done is that you're living out your unconscious fear. And you're sabotaging your effort, you're sabotaging your dreams, you're sabotaging your ambitions and your aspirations to be the kind of person that you want to be. And this is the most dangerous kind of fear because people exhibit it, but they don't know. People live it out, they don't know. And they don't know that what they are doing is that they're expressing some kind of fear. So I want you to think about it. What are the things that you've said that you're going to achieve, but at the same time, you've acted in ways that you have unconsciously sabotaged your dream and your aspirations? Now, I have some examples of this kind of fears which I'm going to share with you. But when you think about your life, you will realize that the major reason why you are still at a certain spot, or why you are not where you're supposed to be, is because you're living a life that is full of unconscious fear. The fear of new food does not have anything to do, or of eating new food does not have anything to do with your success. The fear of heights does not have anything to do with your success. The fear of swimming or being in water. Some people are so afraid, so scared of being in water. Some people are so scared of speed and all that. So all these kind of fears that you're conscious of do not always have a tangible impact on the kind of success that you want to achieve. But the major kinds of fear that impact on who you want to be, where you want to be, are these unconscious fear. So when you look at your life, you're going to realize by the time I show you the examples that the major reason you are not where you're supposed to be is because you've been living a life of unconscious fear. So the fear of not being loved is an unconscious fear. So you want to experience love. You want to be in a lovely relationship or a loving relationship, maybe with a better half or with your family member. But you are afraid that you're not going to be loved. Maybe because of one thing or the other that you think about yourself. You are afraid of not being loved. You are afraid of becoming like your parents, but then your dream is to be an excellent parent. Your dream is to be the best example that your children can have. But at the same time, you are afraid because you are thinking of falling back on the experiences you had with your parents growing up. The fear of not being recognized, and this one is even very, very dangerous. Sometimes we are so afraid that that we're not going to be recognized for what we do, and so we fail to do those things. Or when we do them, we fail to do them excellently because we think that we won't be recognized by our boss. We won't be recognized by our colleagues. We won't be recognized by our classmates or our friends, our family members, and all that. And so you begin to live in fear of being of not being recognized. Rather, that's what I meant. I wanted to write there. The fear of commitment. Some people are afraid of committing to anything, even though they want it in a relationship. They want to. They truly love someone, and they want to spend their time with that person, but they are afraid to be committed to that person. And the way they act shows it is different from what they want. You say in your mind or your heart, you say you want a relationship that is solid and lasting, that will lead to something or result in something positive, but you don't want to give time to spend with the person. You don't want to. You don't have the time. You don't want to commit through your words of affirmation of saying to the person that I love you. All these are unconscious fear. The fear of your own power. You become so powerful that you become afraid that you stop using whatever power that you have, whatever authority that you have. And then the last that I wanted to share as an example is the fear of succeeding and excelling. And it is true. People are afraid of success. People are afraid to excel. And we're going to see the reasons why that happens in the coming slides. So these are examples of some unconscious fears that we exhibit without even knowing them. And because we don't see them, they are not tangible or physical like the fear of height or the fear of eating new foods, we always don't know that they are there. Meanwhile, they are the things that we do that are sabotaging our capacity to be the best that we've been created to be. So my question for you this morning is, what are you afraid of when it comes to becoming a person of excellence? What are you afraid of when it comes to the person of becoming a person of excellence? And I'm going to share some things, some of those things with you that I want you to start thinking about them. As I share them, I want you to think about them with regards to your own life, and with regards to your journey, concerning where you are at the moment, concerning how you've, worked to be the kind of person you are today, concerning how you've worked to be excellent in your job, in your career, in your ministry, in your family, as a family man, in your business, in whatever it is that you're doing. I want you to start thinking about it, and relate it to where you are and where you're supposed to be, or where you think you're supposed to be. And let's answer those questions. What are you afraid of when it comes to becoming a person of excellence in different areas of your life? All right. So the first thing that I think of when I ponder on what I'm afraid of when it comes to being a person of excellence is what people will say if I step out. Sometimes you'll be so talented that people become jealous or envious. And so every step you take, they will be like, what is this one doing? Why is he always showing up? Is he the only one that can sing like that? Is she the only one that can dance like that? Is he the only one that is working in an oil company and afford to buy a Rolls Royce? Is he the only one that is intelligent, that he won't allow somebody to hear anytime the teacher asks a question in the class? Is he the most holy to talk about being a person of ministry? What is it that you think that people will say if you step out? That is the first thing that holds people back from being a person of excellence. People are afraid of what other people will say. And so because they're afraid of what other people will say, they hold themselves back from stepping out. They hold themselves back from stepping out. And if you're that kind of person, I can assure you that you're not going to go too far in life. I remember when I started my journey on academic excellence and looking for opportunities for scholarship and all that. And I think I've shared this story before. I was stepping out, but then I had an encounter with someone who told me, who made a statement about my stepping out. And it was like, you are still here in the country. You're still here in Nigeria. We thought that by now you should have, traveled abroad, because you're always talking about what? Traveling abroad. And if I had listened to that and lived in fear of that statement, maybe I wouldn't have achieved what I have achieved today. So I want to ask you, what is it that you're thinking that people will say when you step out? Number two, what you think you need to excel that you think that you don't have. Remember what we started with, or the statement we started with? We started by saying that people fail not because they don't have the gifts and talents to succeed and to excel. People fail because they are afraid to try. So, but one of the fears that's holding people back is that they think that they don't have enough to excel. They don't have the capacity to do the things that will bring excellence to them. But that is a lie that we tell ourselves. You have something that you can put to work that can bring excellence to you at the level that you are. The problem is that when we think of excellence, we are thinking of it from the angle of being like other people. We're thinking of it from the angle of doing better than other people. And we don't know what those people have. We don't know what those people are doing to be at where they are. But when we come to know about it, what happens then is that we begin to think about of ourselves to not having that capacity like they do to be able to exhibit that kind of excellence. And that is the reason why you don't need to look at excellence as a comparison between two people. You don't need to look at excellence as a comparison between you and any person. And if you understand that, it will help you a lot to start at where you are with what you have. Start at where you are with what you have. Because if you want to have everything in place before you begin to do the things that bring excellence, then you're not going to achieve excellence in any way. So I wanted to ask yourself this morning, what is it that I think of that I don't, that I think that I need, that I don't have, that I should have had to help me to be an excellent person? Think about it. Number 3, how difficult I think it is to do the things that lead to excellence. Right. So this is one of the things that people are afraid of. When it comes to doing things, people think that it is, I mean, it is always difficult to be an excellent person. I mean, to become an excellent person is a difficult task. There is difference between something being difficult and someone putting in hard work to something. All right. It is a requirement for you to be an excellent person to work hard. But it doesn't mean that everything you need to work hard on must be a difficult thing. You could be working hard on something that is very, very easy to do, but you're working hard on it because you want to be the best in it. If you understand what I mean. So being an excellent person is not necessarily a difficult thing. It could be doing some simple things, but working hard on those simple things every day. But then people always think that, okay, for you to be an excellent person, you have to spend maybe 50 hours every week doing something, or 100 hours every month, learning a particular thing, or trying to, develop one thing or the other, one skill or the other. But the truth is, it could just be some simple things that you could be doing every day. Things like setting goals, right? If you say you want to save a million naira, like we said when we started, by a particular point in time, it doesn't mean that you have to be, saving what you cannot afford at that particular point in time to achieve that goal. It could be setting little goals of a certain amount of money that you can afford, but then being consistent with it. That is the hard work that is in it now. Little amount, but being consistent. So if you say you're going to save 100 naira every week, you make sure that no matter what happens, you have 100 naira to save for each week that comes across your life. So if you're thinking of how difficult things are, then you're not going to do anything at all. But if you think of it, or you look at it from the angle of, okay, I can do little things, but I can do it, I can put more effort into it or work hard on it, then that is a different perspective or a different opinion. But one thing I want you to understand, or one thing I want you to notice, is that every fear you hold, every fear that is holding you back, rather, every fear that you have, every fear that lives in you is in your mind. That is why everything we've talked about is about what you think. They are all about what you think. You think of what people will say. You think of what you don't have that you're supposed to have. You think of how difficult it is to do the things that lead to excellence. But at the end of the day, everything is in your mind. Everything is in your mind. Everything is in your mind. If you don't go out there and put whatever it is whatever it is you have to practice, then you wouldn't be able to differentiate between what is reality and what is fear. because fear is not real. Fear is just what is, cooking up emotions and feelings that is cooking up in your mind. And that is why all the 3 points we've made about what you're afraid of that's holding you back from being a person are all about what you think. So you must learn to shield your mind and protect your ability to be courageous about what you want in life. First, you must be willing to shield your mind from those fears and protect your ability to be courageous, because courage is an ability. Okay. All right. Now we're talking about the courage to do the things that you want to do in life. If you must do that, then you must shield your mind from those fears and protect your ability to be courageous about the things that you want to do in life. So how do you protect your mind from this kind of fear, this kind of unconscious fear? That is what that would be the question that would be in your mind now. How do we protect our minds from these fears? And I'm going to share with you a few tips that can help you to protect your mind from these fears. Number one, protect yourself from what you hear. And it's very simple and straightforward. What you hear goes a long way to determine what you experience. So if you're able to protect yourself from what you hear, then you are able to protect your mind from fear. Number two, protect yourself from what you see. Okay? It is not everything you see that is reality, especially in this age of social media, where people, flaunt everything flamboyantly on social media to prove a point or to show that they have one thing or the other. Now, that is quite a dangerous thing to do, because if you keep looking at them, you will begin to feel that you are not doing enough. And when you begin to feel that you're not doing enough, you've already put yourself in an unconscious state of fear that will cripple your ability to be your best at any point in time and in anything that you're doing with your life. Number three, protect yourself from what you read. The news that you read, especially again these days in an age where everything is on our news feed. Everything is on our news feed. Discouraging things, discouraging stories, ideologies, things that are not helping you to be the kind of person you want to be, or to build the kind of consciousness that you want to have to be the kind of person that you created to be. So you need to be careful of the things that you read. And then you need to be mindful of the people that you associate with. And I feel that this is even the most important at the end of the day. The most important is the people you associate with, because if you associate with the people who speak the right things, then you will hear the right things. You won't have to be afraid of what you hear, or you won't have to protect yourself from what you hear. If you associate with the right people, you will see the right things. Okay, they will always show you or point you to the right things. If you associate with the right people, they will share the right information with you. So you don't have to worry about what you read and all that. So association is very, very important, right? Association is very, very important. Look at the story of the spies that were sent out by Moses in the Bible to go. To go and explore the land, the promised land. We were meant to know that when they went in, they saw everything was beautiful, but they also saw and heard the giants in the land. At the end of the day, 10 out of the 12 people that were sent in ended up corrupting the entire crowd, because they came back with what they heard and what they said that were negative, and they shared it with the people, and the people became afraid. Only 2 out of the 12 of them were able to hold on to a positive association, and were able to hold on to a positive mindset and speech and all that. At the end of the day, only those 2 people who had the courage to be positive about what they saw were able to excel in their life. So you need to be very, very mindful of the people that you associate with. Because if you are sitting with the wrong people, they will build what? Fear in you. So what is courage? Now, these we have shared before from our last conversation, that courage is being willing to take risks and step outside of your comfort zone to achieve a goal or make a positive change. That is what courage is. So when we talk about courage to excel, we're talking about the willingness to take the risk, to step outside of your comfort zone, to do excellent things, to live a life of excellence, to say the courage to say that my life will not be the same as any other person's life. My life will be the life that God has created it to be. My life will be a life that I will enjoy according to whatever it is that I've planned for myself, or whatever it is that God has planned for me that I've tapped into. Willing to take the risk, willing to step out of whatever it is that you're comfortable about, and doing the things that will make you the best that you need to be every day. Because every day you wake up comes with its own challenge to be an excellent person. And so for each of the day that comes your way, that you have an opportunity to be an excellent person, you have a challenge to take the risks that are needed, to make the change that are needed, to step out and be the best that you were created to be. And we said, courage does not mean the absence of fear, but it is faith that manifests even in the presence of the fear that you might be having. So you might be having the fear to be committed to a relationship, but still you make up your mind to step out of your comfort zone, to take the risk, and yet be committed. Maybe you are afraid that if you commit, you'll be disappointed, or you've had some heartbreaks in the past, and you're so afraid to be committed to any relationship again. But then courage means that you know that there is the possibility that you might be heartbroken again, but you decide to go into that relationship. Courage means that you know that the effect of your parenting, of your parents parenting on you might still be there, but you still make up your mind to do what? To be a parent. Courage means that you know that you're going to have to attend classes regularly, read your books, do your assignments, do your practicals, or whatever it is that you need to do to graduate best in your class, not because you want to showcase, but because you want to be the better version of yourself. And yet, you step out of your comfort zone to burn the midnight candles, to go to those lectures, to do all those practicals, learn whatever it is that you need to learn to be that person that you need to be. So that we're talking about courage to excel does not mean that there is no fear. Instead, it means that even in the midst of the fears, you have what it takes to step out and do what you need to do. So courage, we said again, is the source, secret source for taking hold of all the opportunities that will come your way this year. And I want to repeat it again, re-emphasize it again, that if you're going to take, there is no opportunity that will come your way that will not place the demand of courage on you this year. There is no single opportunity that will come your way that will not make a demand on your courage this year. Take it from me. Every single opportunity that will come your way, whether it is to grow your business, whether it is to get married this year, whether it is to save and buy anything you want to buy, a property or a car, or have a good life, whether it is, whatever it is that is going to be an opportunity that will come your way this year, I can assure you that it will come with a challenge of courage. It will come with a challenge of courage. And if you fail to tackle it with courage, if you fall into fear, whether it is the physical fear that you see or the unconscious fears that we have examined, then I can guarantee you that success will be far away from you. I can guarantee you that success will be far away from you. A man who shows up with courage values the blessings in the opportunity over the risks of rejection or failure. Remember, people might say, why are you the one that is stepping out? You don't care. You don't care because you are the one that is ordained to step out. You are the one who has what it takes to step out. All right. So that courage helps you to overcome any fear of failure, any fear of rejection, or whatever it is that people will say. Now, how do you build the courage to excel? How do you build the courage to excel? I want you to know that the same way you learn to fear is the same way you can learn to be a courageous person about following your dreams and your aspiration. Now, why I say that you learned to fear is because it's been proven that everything we fear in life, we learned it from what you hear, from what you see, from what you read, from the people you associate with. And that's the reason why those four things, we need to be careful about them. We need to be careful about them. We learned our fears from what we hear, from what we see, what we read, and the people we associate with. So I'm saying that if you learn to fear, the same way you learn to fear, you can also learn to be courageous. You can also learn to be courageous, to follow your dream, follow your aspirations, fulfill them, and not just fulfill them, but excel in them. You can learn to be courageous, to follow your dream. You can learn to be courageous, to follow your aspiration. You can learn to be courageous, to follow your goals, whatever it is that you want to achieve, and excel in them. And excel in them. So, how do we do that? Let me share quickly with you how you can do that. Number one, leverage on your mastery experiences. Leverage on your mastery experiences. Now you have previous experiences and performance. Your life is not just empty. It's not that you don't have stories. You have stories. Now, some of those stories are experiences that you've had and performances that you have achieved. Now, to build the courage to continue to excel, you need to leverage on those experiences. You need to think about the task that you did before and you did excellently. If you've spoken to one person before, if you've summoned the crowd, you think you have the fear to speak to a crowd, but you've spoken to one person before, then it means that you can speak to two people. If you have made $1,000 before, then it means you can make $10,000. If you have sold a course before, if you've sold an online course before, you are a content creator and you've sold a course before, then it means that you can sell two courses. If you've sold to one person, you can sell to two, you can sell to three, you can sell to four. If you've traveled abroad before once for something, you can travel again and again and again and again and again and again and again. If you have spoken to a lady before and she said no, you can still speak to another again because you've taken the first step. So the first thing that we need to do, or we need to learn in building the courage to excel, is to learn to leverage on our mastery experiences, our previous experiences of success, our previous performances of excellence. So you tell yourself, I did this task before. Therefore, I think I can do a more challenging task. So if I've spoken in front of 5 people before, a more challenging task will be speaking to 20 people or 100 people. If I've made 5,000 before, a more challenging task would be to make 50,000. But then because I have had that experience before, and then I can leverage on it and build my self-belief build myself, my personal perspective about my capacity and my ability to push forward to a better result, to achieve a better experience and achieve a better performance. So that's the first thing we need to do to build courage to excel. Second thing that we need to do is to take advantage of vicarious experiences, observations of role models, if I can put it that way. Observation of role models. So you have people that you look up to, and it might not even be people you look up to, it might be other people's stories. So if somebody can do it, then you too can. Because the people who are doing it don't have two heads. And that's the truth, that's the fact. If people who are succeeding, if people who are excelling don't have two heads, then you too can do it. You too can do it. So if you're not doing it, it's not because you can't. It's just because you've not come to a point where you look inwards and ask yourself, what do I need to do to be able to do this? It's not because the other people are better than you. No. We might say, okay, people, I live in a rural area, so I don't have access to other things that people in the city or urban areas have. Those are just excuses. You see, what the reasons we give, I want you to listen to this. The reasons we give for failures are mere excuses. The reasons we give are mere excuses. I'm telling you. Because if you say you cannot do anything because you're living in a rural area, why don't you take the first step? The first step to becoming a person of excellence or achieving your goals and dreams is to think of, what do I need to do to move away from a rural area and move to an urban area? If you think that people in urban areas are succeeding because they're in urban areas. Now, when you go to the urban area, you're going to see people who are living a life of mediocrity in the urban areas. So it's not a matter of living in the urban area. It's a matter of, who do you think you are? What do you think you have that you can give? That is the most important thing. But the second point I'm trying to make is that you can take advantage of other people's stories. You can take advantage of other people's role models. You can observe what they are doing, and you can learn from it. And so you tell yourself, if someone could do this, therefore I think I can do it. If Apeh can do it, then I can do it. If James can do it, then I can do it. By the time you begin to think like that, the next thing that happens is that something pushes you out of your comfort zone to begin to think of how to take action. But the second thing you need to do to build courage to excel is to take advantage of vicarious experiences, which is looking at other people's stories, looking at other people's life and learning from it. The next is build on the power of social persuasion. Build on the power of social persuasion. Feedback and support from other people are there to let you know that you are good at something. And I think I've also told this story many years ago. In church, in those days, I asked people in church, what do you think I'm good at? What do you like about me? Please, can you help me? And I gave them a piece of paper. I said, write down anything you think about me that you like or you don't even like. And I got a feedback or a set of feedback from fellow church members. And I began to read them and I began to see, oh, okay, so I can actually do this. I can actually do that. I can actually do that. And getting that affirmation or confirmation from people who know me, understand me, who see the things that I don't see. And that's the fact, there are some things about you that you don't see, that it is only other people that will see it. There are some things about you that you do not see. but all other people around you can see. And that is why feedback is important. Getting the support of people around you is important. So if someone says, Apeh, I think you can do this, then not even just someone, if more than one people can tell me, Apeh, you can do this, then that is all I need. That is the confirmation I need to step out and begin to do that. And I can tell that so many things I've done and I'm still doing with my life is built on the feedback that I've received from people who told me, we think that you're good at this, we think you're good at that, whether it is my research background, whether it is my teaching background, whether it is the speaking that I'm doing at the moment, whatever it is that you think you know about me, there is a high level of influence of social persuasion. And what I mean by that is feedback and support that I got from people on those things. So I wanted to look at your life. Think about it. What are the feedback that you've received from people? What are people saying about you that you're good about? You're good with? What are the things that people are saying about you that you were excellent with? Or you are showing a dimension of success around it. That is a clue to you that you can actually do something. So if someone said that you can do a task, what it means is that you can actually do it. And so you have to think like that. Think like that. Think that you can do it because someone said you can do it. Okay? And then the fourth thing that we need to do to build courage to excel is to reverse what I call negative physiological emotion or emotional signals. You need to learn to reverse every negative physiological or emotional signal. So there are reactions that tend to interpret our ability, or they serve as signs that can interpret our ability. And those are things that we probably not good at. So when you feel you're not good at something, or when you feel that you're not performing as you're supposed to about something or in a thing, what do you do? How do you respond to it? What most people will do is they will say, okay, I've tried this thing several times. I'm experiencing failure in it. That means I cannot do it. For example, here in Australia, to be a PR, you need to pass IELTS, which is an English language exam. There are people who have taken the exams several times without passing it, and so they've relegated themselves to believing that it means they cannot do it. If you think like that, then you need to learn to reverse that thought. You need to learn to reverse that idea. Just that you are not able to pass your IELTS does not mean you cannot actually excel in it. The only thing is that maybe you get to a point where you give up. Just because you are experiencing rejection from women does not mean you cannot marry. Just because you are experiencing rejection from companies, jobs, interviews that you've gone for does not mean you cannot start your own business or you cannot get a better job. Just because you're losing money all the time does not mean you are unable to save. You just need to learn the skills you need to save. So what? You must learn to reverse every negative physiological or emotional signal that tends to tell you that this is who you are, that tends to tell you that this is your ability, where meanwhile that is not your ability. All right? So what happens when you begin to practice these things? When you begin to practice these things, leveraging on your mastery experiences, take advantage of social persuasion, um, take advantage of vicarious experiences, and reversing every negative physiological or emotional signals. What happens when you do all these things? What happens automatically is that you build your self-efficacy. You build what? Your self-efficacy. And what does self-efficacy mean? It simply means the belief in your ability to perform a specific task. Because that is the thing. The courage to say I can excel to yourself. The courage to say that I can succeed to yourself. The courage to say I can do this and do it very well. I can do it better than any other person. Saying it to yourself, that is what self-efficacy means. And when you begin to apply those 4 principles or 4 ideas of how to build courage every day in your life, the next thing that will happen is that you begin to increase or begin to grow in your self-efficacy. You begin to see that you tell yourself more positive things. You begin to believe more in your ability to do it, because when people say you can do something and you go and do it and succeed in it, it builds your belief in yourself. When you look back at what you've done in the past and you go back and try it again, or give yourself a heavier task, a more challenging task, and you succeed in it, it builds your belief in yourself. All right. When you look at what other people are doing and you get inspired by it and you learn how they do it and you go and do it and succeed in it, it builds your capacity to believe in yourself, to do the things that you want to do, to fulfill your dreams or live out your aspirations. Right. And when you begin to reverse every negative signal, every negative feeling that tells you that because you've tried something 100 times and it didn't work, it does not mean you cannot succeed in it or in something else. When you begin to reverse that, it helps you to also begin to learn to believe in the capacity, the ability to perform any task that's given to you. It gives you that capacity to begin to believe in your ability to do any task that's given to you. So what happens automatically is that you begin to build your self-efficacy. You begin to see yourself, believe in your ability to do things. And there is nothing that is more powerful than your ability to believe in yourself. There is nothing that is more powerful than your ability to believe in yourself. People who believe in themselves are able to succeed faster, better than people who don't believe in anything about themselves. And this is not about imposter syndrome. It's not. It's about you being in your own sphere of strength, be in your own sphere of your innate ability and energizing yourself to be and do the things that you want to do with your life. When you build your self-efficacy, you build in you the courage to do the things you believe in about your dreams and your aspirations, which is what I've just said. When you build your self-efficacy, you build in yourself the belief that you need to build the dreams. You build the capacity, rather, that you need to build the dreams, the aspirations that you believe in. All right? So instead of thinking of what people will say when you step out, why don't you think of what people will say if you don't step out? Do you know that if you don't step out, you'll be a failure? And what people will say about you for failing would be far worse than what people will say about you for stepping out. Let me dwell on this a little bit. You are afraid to step out because you're thinking, they will say, is he the most talented? Is he the most gifted? Is he the richest? And all that. You are afraid of what they will say. But do you know that if you don't step out and you fail, people will mock you, people will laugh at you, people will relegate you to the background, people will not respect you. Your case will be worse than you had stepped out in the first place. So instead of thinking of what people will say for not stepping out. My friend, think of what people will say. Instead of thinking of what people will say when you step out, rather, think of what people will say when you don't step out. Instead of being afraid of what people will say when you step out, be afraid of what people will say when you don't step out. Because what they will say when you don't step out will be far worse and will have a more negative impact on you, on your life, on your dreams, and your destiny than what they will say when you step out. And you know that when you step out, they will say whatever they want to say, but when you begin to succeed, they will begin to shut their mouth. Because your answer to them will be your success. Your answer to them will be your result. When you begin to yield result, everybody will begin to shut their mouth. They will begin to even to look for ways to become your friends. So think of what they will say when you don't step out, instead of wasting your time thinking of what they will say when you step out. Number two, instead of thinking of what you need to excel that you think that you don't have, think of what to do with the little that you have. Instead of thinking of what you need to excel, thinking of what you need to excel that you don't have, because sometimes we think we need to speak fluently to be able to excel in speaking. We need to be able to write excellently before we begin to write. We write our book or start a blog or whatever. We need to think that our legs needs to be straight before we become a ballet dancer or something like that. We need to think, we always think that we need some things to excel. And because we don't have them, we pull out from trying. But think of the little that you have and begin to put to use the little that you have. What can you do with the little that you have? What can you do with the little that you have? That is the most important thing. And it is the little that you have that you're working on that will bring the much that you need to excel in a dimension that you want. So if you don't do anything with the little that you have, don't expect the much that you think you need to excel that you don't have, because it will not come. Number three, instead of thinking of the difficulty of doing things that lead to excellence, think of little everyday steps you can take to continue to grow as a person of excellence. Little everyday step. That thing that you have, use it every day. Exercise it every day. Try it out every day. Little by little, 1 hour, 2 hours every day, 5 pages a day. Try it out. Little steps every day that you can continue to take to become a person of excellence. That is what you should think of, instead of thinking of how difficult it is to be a person of excellence. So, to close, I want to read this, which I think that many of us have come across before. It's a quote that I think speaks to me and I think would speak to you as well. It says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant? Who am I to be gorgeous? Who am I to be talented? Who am I to be fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? Who are you not to excel? Who are you not to be the best that you need to be? Who are you not to be at the top of whatever it is that you're doing in your career, your ministry, your marriage, your business, whatever it is that you do? Who are you not to be the best in it? You are a child of God. You are playing small, does not serve the world. You're playing small, does not serve the world. You're living a life of mediocrity, does not serve the world. It doesn't serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. And this is it. Some people might become insecure because of your success, and so you become afraid to succeed. You don't want to succeed because you don't want to make people feel insecure. But who cares? We are all meant to shine, as children do. We are all meant to shine. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone, irrespective of age, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of location, irrespective of sex, whatever it is. There is something in you that has the capacity to manifest the glory of God in you. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. As we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. As you are liberated from your own fear. So I hope that this conversation today has helped you to be liberated from anything that is holding you back in form of fear. And I hope that this conversation has helped you to learn a few things you can put into place or put to use that can help you to develop courage to be an excellent person. Because that's my goal for today's meeting. That's my goal for today's session. That any opportunity you have to shine, you will not be afraid to do so. You will not care about what people will think. You will go ahead and shine anyway. Any opportunity to shine, you will not think that you don't have what it takes to shine, but you put the little that you have and do your best with it. Any opportunity that you have to shine, you won't say it is difficult. You won't say it is too hard, but you will give your best to it. You will work hard on it. You will go the extra mile. No matter how little it is, but you go the extra mile. You give your best to it to make sure that that opportunity to shine does not elude you. So I want to encourage you this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whenever it is that you're watching this, that you have what it takes to be the best. All you need to do is to summon the courage to go out there and be a person of excellence that you're created to be. As you do that, I believe that you're going to have a transformational year, not just this year, but for the rest of your life. So thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it, and I hope that this has meant a lot to you. I will see you again in March for our March edition of SuccessConverge. And as we go out today, I pray and hope that God blesses you. Thank you very much for joining me. See you some other time.